All right. Did y'all see the Brandon Palaniuk catch on the final day of St. Clair? And I hope that wasn't AI or something like that. Because I got to tell you this. I didn't even know when it came across on my social media. And I was like, what is this from like a year ago from some other lake? Like what is this place? Because like I said, I've been on St. Clair. I don't claim to know St. Clair at all. I just know the areas I fish. And I was like, what is this discharge place and this thing? And like, what is going on? And then he catches, like, hooks into this big one. And I'm wanting to watch. I'm wanting to watch the video. I'm wanting to see it play out. And I'm like, am I watching something old? And I'm sitting here wasting my time watching like a year-old video. And so he's getting it in there. And I'm like, this has got to be the final day, right? This has got to be it. And he catches this big one. And I'm like, okay, so like I'm all intrigued. I hadn't been intrigued about this entire tournament just because. And we're going to get into what this whole video is about, right? But I'm just explaining what I saw. And so like everything, I'm like, where is he? Is this an old video? I have no idea where this is. What's he throwing? Because like I said, all the other smallmouth stuff is just like, it's just, you're out there in the ocean. It just feels like you're like red snapper fishing. I'm not taking anything away from what those guys did. I'm just saying I just wasn't interested in any of that. And I don't live around those lakes. I fished St. Clair once, but I caught them all in 4 foot of water when I fished there on a swim bait. And I was like, I wasn't sight fishing them, but I mean, it was just different than what all these other guys are doing. So, and that was before forward facing sonar and stuff. And so I was just intrigued by it all. And so instantly he catches it and I go straight to the comments. I go to the comments because that's where I find out if it's real or not. I find out, like, are they on St. Clair? What swim bait is he throwing? All this stuff. So that's why I went straight to the comments to see all this. And then one of the comments, and this is what this video is about. And I get them. I think everyone gets them. Dude, I think about this person and I try to get in this guy's mind. And I think, what possesses this guy to write this comment? And I understand people being jerks. I understand people, I understand most people's thought process. Like me, I don't ever comment on stuff unless it's usually positive or I know the guy or something like that. I just don't. I wouldn't even know what to think about, like, writing something negative, right? And a lot of people do that and they get kicks out of it and whatever, and that's fine. Like, people do it on my videos. People do it on every videos. It's like I don't know if it's cool, if they sleep better at night because, like, they finally, I don't know if they were made fun of as a kid. I don't know what it is. But this comment blows me away. I'm not even going to go, I don't even know if it's still up there anymore. Don't really care. But here's the gist of it. I remember when Brandon said it in the video. So we're talking about Brandon Palaniuk, okay? Brandon Palaniuk. We'll get into Brandon here in a second. He's like, he hooks this fish in crazy amounts of current, and it's a 5 or 6 pound smallmouth, or whatever it is. It's a big one. And I remember him saying, he's like, this is why you throw it on a bait caster, which got me intrigued as to what he was throwing too, right? Just a little bit. But I instantly, when he said that, I was like, well, yeah, like, I agreed with him instantly. Like, yeah, I'm down here in Texas. I talk about throwing heavy line, heavy rods, heavy stuff all the time. I crank with heavier line than everyone else. And everyone's like, why don't you crank with 12-pound line? I'm like, dude, we're down here catching giants. And there's trees and brush piles and stumps. And, like, it's not this open water deal. I know he was in open water, but there's a reason, right? There's a reason. And I would hope my track record is the reason. So Brandon's like saying all this, which, like I said, got me interested. And this guy's like, what do you mean that you have to throw it on a bait caster? You can throw, and he starts explaining why you can throw whatever it is. And this is before I even knew what he was throwing. He was explaining why you could throw whatever it is on a spin caster and get away with it and all this stuff. And I was going, do you know what kind of psychopath you have to be to write that comment? Mind you, Brandon Palaniuk's in the top 10 of this event. Can we let's go through real quick. He's in the top 10 of this event. He He drives somewhere, and I still have no idea where. I'm sure people in the comments will tell me, to go catch this giant fish. Knows exactly what bait to throw to get it to bite. Knew all this, lands it, does it like to a T perfect. And then a guy argues or like wants to talk about what rod or bait caster or whatever it is to a guy who's won multiple Bassmaster Elites, Anglers of the Year. I would easily right now put him in top 10 in the, I will always probably keep Brandon Palaniuk in the top 10 in the country in fishing. Elites, BPT, whatever it is. Guy just gets fishing. Usually is very methodical about stuff, understands swim baits very well, understands like both sides. Like he's not this like forward facing guy. He's not this like spinning rod guy. He's like one of the most well-rounded guys. And then for some guy to like, do you understand the type of psychopath you have to be to like write this comment down? Not to do it to be funny, but to actually do it like this guy's serious, 100%. And it just blows me away. Where in the world, what could you imagine this guy doing this and then thinking that like people will agree or whatever it is? Now, I will admit there are things on the Elites that I don't always agree with. Let me backtrack too. Regardless of anything, he was throwing a freaking swim bait that looked pretty heavy. Once I saw that, I was like, well, who cares about current and everything else? He's throwing a heavy swim bait. Could you physically throw that on a spinning rod? Yes, I see people pond fishing with spinning rods with 1 ounce baits on, and they're casting them out there, and you see people that like, you see setups that aren't right all the time. You see setups that like don't make sense. You can physically, I can go out there and catch a 6-pounder on a Snoopy rod with a bait that's way oversized for that Snoopy rod and land it. I can. Doesn't mean I should. And like I said, if the guy was just joking, no big deal. But the guy was serious, trying to make an argument as to why the spinning rod. There's no way you can say that you could do it. He was arguing that if you're going to say that, you have to be arguing that it's better to do it on a spinning rod. If not, why even write that? Why waste your time? I've watched some of the Elites, and I don't always agree with what they do. And that's okay. Like you see guys, I mean, I've never agreed with the whole, I see the light line stuff sometimes come out there, and I'm just going, like it was always drop down to lighter line, lighter line, lighter line. Even with live scope now, I can see that like lighter line has its purpose for certain baits, but I don't think it's because of the clarity of like a fishing your line, in my opinion. I've never thought that. What I will say is for the first time ever, I will admit, I have no problem admitting this. I still wouldn't write a comment. I saw Koyo like with this heavier line on spinning rod stuff. And at first I was like, I don't get it. Why don't you just, I don't understand the spinning rod and the heavy line. Why wouldn't you just go to a bait caster? And now granted, what he was throwing should be on a spinning rod. It was just the line size. Now, I wouldn't have wrote a comment. I wouldn't have done anything. What did I do? I said, let's go test it. And I've got a spinning rod over there with 30-pound braid on there and 18-pound line. And I have figured out what to do with that thing. And I haven't posted a video on it, and I don't know if I ever will. But yeah, I get it. I understand the application. But I just wanted to throw this out there. It cracks me up when guys do this. It just does. And I was just amazed. And like, I understand kind of doing it on a personal page, And like, look, man, you can do it on mine all day long. Do what you want to do. But I think this was on Bassmasters, which is like kind of out there in the public of, we're all in the public, but that's like, I'm going to go out there on a limb and just do it on their page. I found that wild and funny. And I thought about that for a little bit. And I thought I'd share that with y'all. Because I'm like, when y'all see that, I'm surprised more people don't comment on those. Like that might be, I'll take that back. If I comment, other than it's a buddy's post or something like that, I might comment on a comment like that. Like that might be the one comment that I might comment on and go, really? I'm sure everyone in the comments is sitting there going, yep, whoever this Brandon Palaniuk, I'm sure they don't know who that guy is, but they're going to be like, oh, this random guy in the comments, he makes a good point. User 3165, he probably even put his, man, I didn't even check to see if his name, I wouldn't even want to give his name out there. Was that what I found the most interesting about St. Clair? Probably. I did try to watch some of it, and I don't know what, like it was, I don't know. I've been very honest about that. Like I said, if you want to go to St. Clair and absolutely smoke them, do it. It's fun. Those fisheries like that are an absolute blast. I've only got to do it. We stayed even after the tournament, after the top 10. So 3 days of practice, 4 days in the event. We stayed for another day and went out and did it again. I think ours would have been fun. Like watching us on video would have been fun, but we were up there shallow, like casting swim baits and stuff. Like it was like we were sight fishing them too, to a degree. Like sight fishing them in the sense of we were like, I wish we had videoed this. This was before I ever had, it was the year before I had a GoPro. So we didn't have to have a GoPro before this event. It was at the next year when FLW made us get GoPros. But yeah, we were at one point driving around the lake, looking for them, like literally like standing up on the boat, looking around and seeing them like redfish on top of the water, and like making a big circle, turn around and like trolling motor up to them, and like throwing in front of them and catching them. Like it was pretty wild what we were doing. It was like nothing. It was awesome. I would say that would have been probably pretty good for TV, catching them in 4 foot of water. They just acted different. Of course, we weren't live scoping them. I don't even think you could have live scoped them. I mean, we were throwing out there 130, 40 feet, and we were bombing swim baits at them. But yeah, this is what caught my eye. Sorry, if you want to know what catches my eye, or like these are the things I look at, not some of the other stuff. But yep, that's it. What do y'all think?